Step 2 is breaking it down. This is one of the most important steps of the system. It's one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're new to tapping or haven't actually gone for training in it. Even the pros forget to do this sometimes. Without this step, it's very difficult to get results. People often give up altogether on tapping because they've missed this crucial piece of the technique and they feel that they're not getting any results. This step gets you moving in the direction of more clarity about what's really going on and why it's a problem or issue in your life. Sometimes the very act of looking at the issue more closely and breaking it down into its components can actually help reduce the intensity. The breaking it down step is there to help you get crystal clear as to what's really creating the issue. Once you identify and isolate the parts of it, it's much easier to get more thorough and permanent results with tapping. Even though an issue may appear to be simple, it's helpful that when you start tapping to assume that everything is or may be a complex issue. Thinking this way will get you into the habit of always investigating further. Our issues usually consist of multiple layers, parts, and pieces. There are the reasons why, the proof, the evidence that you have this issue. Sometimes breaking down an issue into its parts or sub-issues is obvious and simple. Other times you may need to use some strategies and questions to get at what's really underneath the issue. Begin by thinking about anything that might be connected to the main issue you listed in step 1. Now see if you can list a few sub-issues or parts to the issue. Some issues only break down into 1 or 2 subparts, while others may have many parts. Either way is fine. There's room on the worksheet for 4 different parts to the issue. It's fine if you don't have that many, and it's fine if you have more. Just jot them down somewhere on the page to make sure that you address them at some point. A simple way to get started with breaking down an issue is by thinking about the issue you've noted in step 1 and then asking yourself, how do I know? What's the evidence? How does this problem or issue show up for me? If it's about a feeling, ask about what? What about this is problematic for you? Why does it bother you? What does this issue mean to you? What does this issue mean about you? What do you think is contributing to this? If there were an emotional contributor to this issue, what would it be? Who or what is causing this problem? When and how do you find you're experiencing this problem or issue? So here are some examples. So the issue in step 1 might be, I don't feel like exercising, and I know I should, but I just can't get myself to. So you go, how do I know this is a problem? And so 2A would be, I make excuses. 2B, I avoid the topic of exercise and I won't make a plan. 2C, I feel bad that I'm not exercising. Now these 3 parts are all tappable issues. And here are some more. Step 1, I feel high anxiety about an upcoming minor operation. So your 2A might be, I get a restless feeling about it that I can't shake, and I can't stop thinking about it. I can't sleep. Again, all tappable parts. Another example is maybe step 1 is, I feel stressed about my student loan debt. And we're going to use this example in subsequent steps. So 2A would be, I think about it all the time. 2B, it bothers me that I have all this debt. 2C, I can't buy what I want to buy. 2D, I feel annoyed that it takes so long to pay. And one last example, step 1, I feel really unmotivated the last couple of days. And then when that's broken down, it might be in step parts like 2A, I feel grumpy and dissatisfied with everything right now. 2B, all I want to do is escape with food or TV or the internet. 2C, I have an old familiar bored yet restless feeling in my body. 2D, I feel like I should be more productive. So these are the examples. An important note is that if you notice that your issue has a lot of parts, let's say 7 or more, then that might be an indicator that your initial issue is just too general. You may still be able to work with it, but if you find that it's too confusing or if it's just too much, then I recommend breaking it down into the sub-issues even further so that you can treat them separately. Be sure to keep that list though, the original list that you write. It'll be handy for you to go back to do as you're doing the work. To do this, I suggest choosing one of the sub-issues that you've noted in step 2 of the many and start fresh on a new DIY tapping worksheet. Write that issue down as your new step 1. Then see if you can break it down even further in step 2. This way you can treat each issue one by one in a way that will give you even more control over clearing out everything and finally being free of your issue. Here's an example of an issue that has a lot of sub-issues. If in step 1 you say, I feel totally stressed out, 2A might be, everything feels like an effort. My sleep is lousy. I have no patience with my children. I feel overwhelmed most days. I'm overeating like crazy. I don't like my job and it's causing me stress. I don't feel like being intimate with my husband. Okay, so as you can see, there's a lot going on here for this person. So many contributors to her stress. In this case, since the list is long and each issue is quite chunky, she can pick one of the sub-issues from step 2 and then start a new sheet listing that issue as step 1 so she can further break it down in step 2 like this. Let's say she picks everything feels like an effort. That was her previous step 2. Break that down further. I feel tired most days. My energy level is lower than it's been in years. It's hard for me to get motivated to start my day each morning. I have a heavy, dull feeling in my body. Now she can continue on with the worksheet so that she can really clear this issue out in a more comprehensive way. Just as you did in step 1, read each item that you've listed in step 2 and tune into yourself to see how intense they feel now as you think about them. Rate that feeling on a scale from 0 to 10, with 10 being the most intense and 0 being no intensity at all. Jot down those numbers on your worksheet. This will come in really handy as you assess your progress.